Hello all, thanks for being here again for my May bullet journal setup. I know it's coming late in the month, but May has been so busy for me, as will June, so just a heads up, the setups will be coming, I promise, but they will be a bit delayed. Personal life, it's just gotten really busy lately, you know? Anyway, hi, my name is Shannon, and this, as always, is Lavender Sky. I will have links to everything I can down below that I've used for this setup, but for now, let's check out something a bit different to start with. This is my junk journal. I was really struggling to come up with like the theme and colours and, just bits and pieces for May. So what I like to do when I'm really struggling creatively, and I really was, is go to my junk journal and just really play. I think in here there's like no expectation or design process, just putting things down and layering them up with no idea how it will turn out. I think it just really helps me to get out of a funk. This is all just really random junk with no specific moment attached to it. I had this paper cup that I've opened up. This is just from markets that I went to on a weekend and I kept it. I also recently finished a packet of this chamomile and apple tea, so I pulled apart the packaging here. I also recently finished this this cup of tea, and yeah, I'm gonna include the string and the label from that here too shortly. And this is just a brown paper bag that I also got from the markets. It might have been the same time I went and kept that paper cup, or it might have been a different time. I don't know. I just collect stuff. But this is a bag from the fairy crystal shop that I always make an effort to visit whenever I'm at the markets. It's from Mina's Healing Rhythm Fremantle Markets. I don't know if you've been to the Freo markets, it's like super packed every time I go, but Mina is always so lovely, and I don't know, I always find myself having a little chat with her when I stop by. She's just really lovely and really magical, and I really like her vibe, so I was very happy to include this in my junk journal. And the last thing that I usually add to a junk journal page is the date. I don't always do this, or maybe sometimes if I forget to do it in the moment, I will try to go back and like add the date to previous pages, but it's just there or it's not there, it's fine. Okay, and you know what, before I move on to maybe May, I do have this like stack of clothing tags that have been sitting on my desk for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe months. So I'm cleaning it up by putting it in my junk journal. How responsible of me. I recently went through a bit of a wardrobe redo, revamp, revival with some core pieces from Disturbia, and I really loved the coffin tags, so I kept them, as any good junk journaler does. I usually, lately, for the past couple of years really, I've just been getting a lot of what I wear every day from thrift shops, which is fine because I mostly work at home and I don't really go out all the time, so I don't really have like a lot of, more special pieces of clothing, but I don't know, I think just recently a bit of self-care was like leaning into a little bit more style, personal style, and Disturbia, it kind of aligned pretty well with what I was going for, so I was very happy to get a bit of an update. I will eventually go through the rest of my wardrobe and remove some items that I don't wear anymore and maybe donate them. but I'll still obviously keep a few core staples and stuff. Like, we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here, guys. We're just like refreshing. I also probably need a different type of glue, I'm now realizing, for my jump journal. I'm not sure if the good old blue glue is strong enough, but it is all that I have for now, so it will do. If anything ever comes up from the page in future, you know, I can always come back later with a stronger glue. But yeah, it's not likely. I'm just gonna shut the page quickly and hope it all sticks. Okay, now I'm feeling very sufficiently warmed up and feeling very creative. It's time to get into the bullet journal setup. I decided to use the rest of these stickers from Paper Trail Plans. This is from their forage set, and I used most of the sticker pack when I was creating my 2026 bullet journal setup. But this is what I had left over. This set is no longer available. I've already checked their websites. I think the closest one though that they currently have in their store is a set called Aglow. It has very similar like warm and cozy vibes, but maybe a little bit more leaning towards the colder months. But I really encourage you to go and check them out. They have like such lovely packs. And when I was looking, when I was actually looking for a similar set to forage, I did go down that rabbit hole and was like adding stuff to my cart, but I just don't need anything now. But when I do, you can bet that I'm going back there and like getting a full set, a full pack. Absolutely. So yeah, shout out Paper Trail Plans, I guess. Great quality, great designs. Anyway, moving on. I'm also using up the rest of my coffee stain doilies that I made for my latest reading journal setup. The link to that will be here in the corner if you want to check that out. I actually really loved how the coffee colour brought some warmth and depth into that setup, so please go and see that if you will. And finally, I've grabbed these frames, but trust me, I will absolutely forget about them for most of the setup, so sorry about that. And that's what we'll be working with today, so let's do it. Today, for our mental health chat, I also wanted to talk a little bit about friendships. As I've mentioned before, I'm a therapist, I'm a counsellor here in Perth, WA, and I really like to combine my bullet journal and reading journal with a little bit of mental health. That's kind of what I do here. So if you'd like to hear more about that, please listen on. If that's not quite your vibe, you know, it's absolutely fine to like turn down the audio and just like stay for the bullet journal setup. Both are really good if I do say so myself. But anyway, I've been inspired to do a bit of a deep dive this month into friendships due to a lot of things kind of coming together all at once. I have absolutely had my fair share of experiences with all different kinds of friendships my whole life. I was definitely one of those kids who was bullied at school for being a little bit different from the rest. That's probably very obvious now that I think about it. I mean, like, I don't know if everyone's like creatively quirky. Maybe there's a little bit of a theatre kid in me. I mean, there has to be, right? Like, I'm here doing this voiceover. I don't know. I was, yeah, definitely very nerdy gal at school, and you know, I'll admit I was probably more than a little bit autistic and did struggle socially. And I think if you've worked with me, if you're one of my clients, you will already know that I'm like very literal and direct. And yeah, I just don't do well with ambiguity. I really like clarity. Yeah, that's definitely something that comes across in sessions. Like I like to support myself and others with like clearly defined kind of processes and communication, but Yeah, that's probably not something that goes well with being like a teenage girl growing up in a small town and being a little autistic, but anyway. I've also been seeing a lot on like social media about friendships, and I don't know, maybe the algorithm really is listening, hey, but whatever. I've also been working with this theme across a lot of clients at the same time, and it is really funny to me how the universe works. Maybe this month it's been putting in a lot of work on setting boundaries with yourself, learning to be okay with having good boundaries with people in your life, and discovering who you can pull closer and who you maybe should let go of. I want to add also, this maybe isn't just friendship specific. A lot of what I'm kind of going to talk about would apply for a lot of different kind of relationships, whether they're like intimate or platonic or family, really any relationships. I promise I mean it. But before I talk about friendships, first I want to talk about boundaries. So, what are boundaries and how do you define them? I like to say boundaries keep you safe. They define your behavior and your actions, what you choose to engage with or not engage with. Boundaries define what's for you and what's not for you. Why? Why is that? Well, because, my friends, we cannot control others. Yes, it's true, we cannot make people do anything. Sure, we can ask, we can beg, we can give chance after chance to people so that they maybe do what you want them to, but it really doesn't come from you, change has to come from them. The good thing about this is whilst you can't control others, you can choose your own actions. You are in charge of your own behaviour. So boundaries, your behaviour. What do you do? One really simple example that I often like to give here is that one of my boundaries for literally anyone is that I don't talk to people who are disrespectful or like yell at me. That's not how I choose to communicate. That is not behaviour I choose to engage with. My boundary is I only communicate with people who speak to me respectfully. So, as it was, therefore, if you're speaking disrespectfully, that's totally cool. You just won't be speaking to me. Do you see how that puts the focus of your boundary on you? It doesn't say, hey, don't speak to me like that, which is also totally valid, but that's also asking someone to change their behaviour, which we know like we're not in charge of other people's behaviour. Instead, with this boundary, it defines your own behaviour. I don't engage with that. It's just this little reframing, which I found in my own experience and working with others. It tends to be much more effective and very empowering. There's also like a secret second part to boundaries that I like to think of as if-then consequences. To me, it just helps to reinforce or like uphold your boundary when someone tries to cross it. What this might sound like, for example, is if I'm not being communicated with respectfully, then I'll leave the conversation. Again, it's just the really slight reframing to put the focus on your own behaviour because it's about you and what you will do. Then you actually have to follow through with that and like leave the conversation. What happens next, though, can tell you a lot about a person, because now if I've left the conversation, hopefully that other person can see that I don't engage with people who don't speak respectfully to me. So then that other person has a choice. If they want access to me, they will need to speak respectfully. If that access is important to them, they will change their behaviour. They have no choice, right? Because I only engage with people who communicate respectfully with me. And it's okay if they choose not to change their behaviour, then they lose access to me too. And that's okay. I really don't want anyone in my life who doesn't speak respectfully to me. So if boundaries are like fences, then consequences are like the electricity in that fence. It's just a reminder to others that, yeah, this thing is for real and something will happen if you violate that boundary. Alright folks, so now we've got a really good foundation of boundaries in general. Let me talk about how they apply to friendships or relationships. And you know what? Whenever I say friendships, you can really just assume that I mean most relationships. It's very much the same structure as what I've just talked about, but now we're going to bring in specifically behaviours that you choose to engage with, or again, not engage with, in friendships. If boundaries define what's for you, how does this apply to friendships? Start by thinking about what it means to be a good friend to you. Maybe make a small list if that helps. For example, to me, I think a good friend is someone who shares similar values to me. They don't have to be exactly the same, we're all different and that's great, but I would ideally like to have a little bit of overlap or some similarity here. For example, I really value autonomy, and I think that can be seen quite clearly in my decision to work for myself, how I make decisions about my career and my life. I also really value adventure. So maybe all of my friends, they don't all have to work for themselves, but maybe most of my friends really enjoy traveling or exploring or trying new things, Just things that we have in common, and I think this really aids in connecting to one another at the end of the day. To me, I also think a good friend is someone who is honest about their feelings, their experiences, their lives. I guess I just couldn't really imagine being close to someone that I struggle to get a beat on, you know? I think a good friend is someone who's interested in my life, and obviously I'm interested in theirs, and can celebrate the joy together, we uplift each other, we're excited for each other, like a bit of a hype person. I think it's really just fundamental for friendships, again, to me, that we can be each other's cheerleaders, and it honestly sounds like a lot of fun. Very connective and a lot of joyfulness to be shared. I also believe like a good friend is someone who's inclusive and open-minded. You don't really have to agree with me on everything I think or say to be my friend. Honestly, like we do not have to be the same person, but I really do see the benefit in an open perspective. I once had a manager say years ago to me, "Shannon, I see that you really seek to understand." And for me at the time, I was like, I don't know, 22 or 23, and it was so profound. But it's also been a really consistent trait in my whole life when I think about it. I don't need to agree wholeheartedly with someone, but I do like to understand where people are coming from. And I would hope that my friends would share the same capacity as well. I'll admit that although this can sometimes be a trap, because with some people and some actions, trying to understand something kind of just gets me stuck. Maybe this is because sometimes people don't really understand their own behavior, so there's no point in me trying to understand their behavior, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's kind of getting really off track, and maybe that's a chat for another day. So those are some of my ideas for what makes a good friend to me, and how I can be a good friend to others. What do you think some of your ideas for being a good friend means to you? Sure, there might be some similarities between what I've mentioned and what you see in a good friend, but trust me, your ideas for friendship will be unique to you, and that's okay. Now, when it comes to putting in boundaries here, the next step in my mind is to decide, okay, so this is what being a good friend means, and this is the type of friendship I want in my life. This is the kind of behavior I choose to engage in. Seeing someone enact these qualities can tell me if I consider that person to be a good friend to me. And then for the consequences, the upholding of those boundaries. Because what happens if someone in your life really goes against what you consider a good friend? If I don't see these qualities in someone, then I simply don't define them as a good friend. But you guys, see, this is where it gets really tricky, because sometimes we don't want to see people that we consider good friends actually don't act like what you consider a good friend. And that can be really hard to admit, like really hard. On paper, sure, they don't live within your boundaries of good friendship, but emotions are there. You might really love this person. They might have been in your life for a really long time. You might know them really well. But when it comes down to it, are they really a good friend to you? Or do you just want them to be a good friend to you. To bring balance to these boundaries, and as a good therapist, I believe in the value of good and clear communication. If someone in your life has maybe strayed outside the boundaries for good friendship, then I absolutely encourage you to communicate with them about that. Give that person the opportunity to hear you and a chance to bring themselves back into that boundary area of friendship. Because people who love you and respect you will respect your boundaries. They will hopefully want to be a good friend to you and understand what that means to you. Unfortunately, it also means that people who don't respect your boundaries do not respect you. But I promise this is okay, really, because I only want friends in my life who live in this space of what I consider good friendship. And I hope that you want that for yourself too. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to be respected and loved. You don't deserve to be disrespected, and you don't have to give all of yourself to someone who's not willing or capable of doing the same for you. I actually don't want someone in my life who doesn't meet these things. Or maybe at the very least, they won't be what I consider a good friend to me. They might just be demoted to being an acquaintance, you know. Or maybe they even turn into a stranger, which it does suck and it hurts. But better a stranger than someone who continually hurts and betrays you. Okay, I hope you found this mental health chat about boundaries and friendships helpful and useful in your own life. It's been really fun to take inspiration from all the areas of life, past friendships, experiences with supporting people, in defining and understanding their own boundaries, and listening and seeing what people experience of friendship through social media. Honestly, that is a wild one because, like, social media is not the truth, but it can share some harsh truths. I don't know. This is something I really love working on with my clients. It takes a lot to understand, build, and navigate your boundaries, but ultimately, boundaries keep you safe. They define what's for you and not for you. It helps to build self-respect, confidence, and trust in yourself and in others. Let me know if you learned something about yourself or your own boundaries with friendships. I'd love to hear if this has been supportive for you. Enjoy the final flip through for May. Again, I know it's late, but I promise I'm working really hard at my reading journal today, and I hope to have that update out for you soon, fingers crossed, and June's bullet journal hopefully won't be too far away also. Take gentle care out there, guys. Thank you again for being here. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye!